the first thing I thought of when all of this started happening in 2020 is I would see these coaches get tagged, and I just put myself, having coached in college for 22 years, I put myself in the shoes of back in the shoes of a college coach and thought, how annoying would this be if somebody was tagging? If I opened up I want to see who's replying to what I said. I want to see what conversations I want to get involved with my feed, right? And so if I've got to sort through 250, 500, 1,000 taggings in order to, I would get sick of, so I would say, that's it, I'm shutting my social media off. And by the way, there are Division I coaches on the women's side that have blocked their social media accounts because they don't want to be tagged anymore. So I follow them and stuff, but I see they've locked who can see their stuff because they don't want to be tagged.
Don Williams, welcome back to the podcast.
Oh, this is so much fun. I love doing these with you.
Well, this is extra exciting today because we not only have a great topic, but you are the first guest of 2026. Happy New Year, everyone.
Hey, Happy New Year, everybody. Yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
figured
great.
we'll start off with a bang with the podcast. We got a lot of great guests coming for the strong female athlete, but I had to have Dawn back on because I've been seeing a lot of talk on social media and college recruiting. Should young athletes have a social media? Should they brand themselves and really focus on that in the recruiting process? Does it actually move the needle or even matter? We're going to answer that today. So, Dawn, do you want to just get started with, what your thoughts are on this? Because social media has gotten really popular in college soccer recruiting in the past 5 years, I would say.
I think it started during COVID because coaches were bored to death. I mean, there was all kinds of amazing, cool, fun stuff that was going on in the world of communications during a time when we weren't allowed to see each other. When the government told us you all must stay in your homes and you can't leave, and things were kind of shut down in most of the country, or at least in half the country. Coaches turned to social media, and as soon as players recognized that coaches turned to social media, players turned to social media to chase the coaches. 2020 and 2021 was really weird times with players like, how do I get recruited? And coaches, how do I recruit? And so everybody turned to social media. So we saw this period with a major shift, coaches running to social media, then players following them. Because players will follow good coaches and good coaches will follow good players. And that's what happened. And then here we are today, 5 years later, and it's become a thing where parents will ask me, I don't know, at least once a week, I get a parent asking the question, do we have to be on social media? Do our kids have to have social media accounts? I've been told that my kids have to have an Instagram account for recruiting. They have to have an X account for recruiting. Do they really have to? And as soon as I hear that, Erica, I think clearly you don't want to do this. This is something you're wondering if you have to do, because anybody that's like you and I kind of work social media as a business. I don't know what percentage of your business comes from social media.
Not a lot. You'd be surprised.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and not a ton for us, surprisingly. But it is because I track like every application that comes in. A lot of it's just search engines. That's the majority of people find us through search engines. But second most is Instagram. Um, and like X is way down the line, even though that's like my biggest amount of followers, almost 26,000 now on X, but not a lot. So um, clearly they don't want to do it. And they understand it's a lot of work to do it, but they're wondering if they have to do it.
Do they have to do it? Like, how much more does it increase your chances of getting seen by college coaches?
Well, the question is by who? So look, I have coached my last coaching job. I spent the majority of my career at a decent size 15,000 student Division II school in California. We look, players came to us. I mean, they wanted to play for Cal State East Bay. They wanted to play in the CCAA. They wanted to play at San Francisco State and Sonoma State and Cal State East Bay and Cal State Monterey and Cal State Los Angeles, blah blah blah. But they wanted to play for those schools. So we didn't ask for players, and players just asked for us, and we didn't even hold ID camps. Really, it wasn't a big part of our marketing. We just heard about good players, and we went and recruited events, and players found us, and that's the way it was. My last job was at Feather River College, and 99% of the people around the country will go, who, what, and it was a small junior college in the middle of the second smallest county in the state of California. We had 20,000 in the county, only two stoplights in the whole county. It's just a really, really small, out of the way college with 700 students. Um, Nobody wanted, nobody was dreaming growing up at 12 years old saying, I want to play for Feather River College or UCLA. Either one would do for me. That's not the way it works. So if I was at Feather River College or the smallest Division III in Alaska that had soccer, I would be on social media telling everybody how wonderful we are and posting pictures how wonderful we are and following every kid who looked like they could sort of kick a soccer ball even to come to our school. Because like on the women's side, good luck getting, if you're that school, and there's any coaches listening to this, especially on the women's side, will understand what I'm saying. There are women's teams in this country that can't field 11 players in certain games of the year. There are not enough quality women's players for the amount of roster spots available. There are more women's roster spots available than men's roster spots in this country by thousands, low thousands. And there aren't enough quality female players. You would run out of ECNL and GA players before you filled all those roster spots. And then on the girls' side, more than the guys' side, girls will say, look, if I got to go to school there to play soccer, I'd rather quit soccer. There's no way I'm going to school there. Soccer is not that important to me. I will just go to school. And that's happening a lot more on the women's side than it is on the men's side. So, well, guess what I'm saying is, yes, there are coaches in this country on the women's side who do look at social media and try really hard to find players. But it's not Florida State, and it's not Notre Dame, and it's not the schools that girls tend to be tagging and chasing. It's not those schools. Those schools, might they run a cross? Yeah, okay. In the same way that some people retire at 30 years old after hitting the lottery. In the same kinds of ways, players might be discovered through social media. But there's a couple of issues. One is that you think coaches are stupid, parents, and you think you're fooling them, but we know it's you running the kid's account. You don't talk like a kid talks. You don't post like a kid posts. I can tell when an application comes through from a player and as opposed to from a parent, because the list of accolades is 3 pages long on the application alone. Kids don't brag on themselves like parents brag on their kids. Kids aren't as proud of themselves as parents are proud of their kids. So when you see all these accolades on social media and it's like, oh, I'm so honored to be named as the this or the that or the whatever, that's the parents. It's not the kids. So first of all, as a college coach, I'm wondering, Are you just throwing a net out into the ocean and hoping to catch something? Indiscriminately fishing? Oh, I caught a sea turtle. Oh, that's illegal. Shouldn't be doing that. I didn't want to catch that. I didn't want to catch that dolphin. That's illegal. I shouldn't be doing that. I didn't want to catch that. And you're just throwing stuff back, and what damage you do, you don't care. You're just fishing. You're not fishing for mahi mahi. You're not fishing for something specific for dinner because it's your favorite thing to eat and you're trying to fish for it. You're just indiscriminately throwing giant nets out there and hoping you catch something because you don't know what else to do. Honestly, Erica, I don't blame the families. This is a situation where humans like to be in control. We don't like the idea that things aren't in our control. It's a horrible feeling to feel like we're at the mercy of a system. And social media is a way, posting on social media, tagging coaches on social media, it's a way to feel like we are controlling something. But back to your question, how much good is it really? How much time am I spending at it? I shared a post with you that we ran across social media. For $96 a month, we'll post everything for you. We'll post for you on social media. Just join our monthly. And boy, and you have to do it, by the way. If you don't do it, you're behind. And then they prey on FOMO, fear of missing out. If you don't do it, somebody else is doing it. You better post on social media. And this is the message that's being sent. And anybody who says that, just ask about their motivation. What's the motivation for that? Because there are literally tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of athletes finding college spots that weren't posting on social media. So if it's so necessary, how did they do it? Frankly, they're just really good athletes and they work really hard at their sport. And they spend time with people like you, with nutritionists, working on their game, spend time on their own. They love their sport. And they're the best player on their team, and they're the best player in their league. And they're the best player in their high school. And they aren't using social media. Now, if you want to use social media to get NIL money, that's something different. We did an Inside College Soccer podcast with Christy Dosh. By the way, might be an interesting one for you to have on your podcast. She wrote a really good book, and she's a professor in Florida. I think at University of Florida. Might be Florida State. She's a professor there teaching NIL, and she talks about, kids that have only 12,000 followers and they're making money on NIL money on, social media, and they're not phenomenal athletes either. They're just in the right space that people want to use them to hawk their products. For that purpose, I guess you got to be on social media for that purpose. But that wasn't the question. The question was, do I need social media recruiting accounts for the purpose of promoting myself in recruiting? Is that necessary?
So would you say no, it's not necessary, but it doesn't do any harm to have an account. It's just it doesn't move the needle in your recruiting journey as much as parents think. Is that what you're saying? This episode is brought to you by Simply Faster. I don't know about you guys, but I am very overwhelmed with the current crazy youth sports schedules. Between all these practices and 2 weekend games and tournaments, it can be really hard to recover fast. This is why I love Simply Faster's Firefly recovery device for busy youth athletes. It's portable, super easy to use, and it stimulates blood flow to the muscles for faster recovery and reduced soreness. You can wear it in the car on the way to practices, in between tournament games, or when you get home after that long weekend of games. The Firefly is a great added boost to your everyday recovery of sleep and proper nutrition. Click the link in the caption below to get the Firefly and start your recovery routine today.
I've told you, look, do what you want to do with your time. Your time is your currency. Time is the only real currency we have. We can use our time to earn money, and that's currency, and we spend that money, or we can use our time to promote on social media. And if it ends up helping you and you end up getting something out of it, it's great. But the first thing I thought of when all of this started happening in 2020 is I would see these coaches get tagged, and I just put myself, having coached in college for 22 years, I put myself in the shoes of a college coach and thought, how annoying would this be if somebody was tagging? If I opened up I want to see who's replying to what I said. I want to see what conversations I want to get involved with my feed, right? And so if I've got to sort through 250, 500, 1,000 taggings in order I would get sick of, so I would say, that's it, I'm shutting my social media off. And by the way, there are Division I coaches on the women's side that have blocked their social media accounts because they don't want to be tagged anymore. So I follow them and stuff, but I see that they've locked who can see their stuff because they don't want to be tagged. They're sick of it. Look, EC when this big ECNL event in Florida is going on, pick the big school, pick any of the top 150 women's schools, or any of the D1 schools for that matter. And those coaches are getting, 1,000, 2,000 emails about this event. Who thinks they're going through 1,000 or 2,000 emails? Oh, but they should, because they're going to miss my daughter, and she's so special, and they should be looking at every single one of them, responding to all of them, because they're going to miss something. Yeah, right. Like they don't already know who the top 150 players are in ECNL. They already know. They already know. There are ECNL girls teams where, I've seen teams where all but one kid went D1, and then one girl ended up going to Johns Hopkins. That was the one D3 kid, right? I've seen those ECNL, and then I've seen ECNL teams that can't get a coach to come watch their team to save their life. Just go watch the events for yourself and walk out to field number 35 and not field number 1. And you'll see out at field number 35, there's nobody there except, the 3 junior colleges and the 2 Division III schools from Alaska that can't get a kid to come see them. And I've been that coach, and I've seen those teams and go, I'll take any of those girls, any of them. They're good enough to help me get my 18-person roster so I don't get fired. I'll take any of them. I'm desperate. And I've been at events where I've pulled an entire team in and said, by the way, if any of you want to come to Feather River College, here's my card. I'd love to have you on campus. Please, any of you. And if you know any friends that sort of can play soccer, I'll take them too. I'll take anybody, because I've got enough. And look, we won our conference, and my women's team was top rated in the country at one point, and our men's team was number 2 in the country at one point. So it wasn't like we couldn't get enough players, but we didn't have enough players to fill our 18-person roster. So my AD doesn't say, if you don't have 18, you're fired. So there are ECNL teams like that too, where they're just not very good. ECNL used to be, I think it was the top 30 teams in the country, something like that. Somebody who's a better ECNL expert than I am, who knows the history of it, but Google it. It was only the elite best teams in the country that were always competing for the national title. And they decided, why are we playing these other teams? Let's just play against each other. Then, of course, somebody thought, well, we can make a lot more money if we double that. And if we quadruple that. And if we start a B team, ECNL RL, and then GA did that. And then GA came in. Of course, I'm going out of order. There was other iterations, but the point is There are now so many MLS next teams, ECNL teams, GA teams, National League teams. I'm forgetting some leagues somewhere that there aren't enough quality players to make all quality teams. So players that are in those leagues have to figure out some way to get noticed because nobody's showing up on their event. Those those kids, yeah, they want to use social media. But look, the best kids in the country aren't worried about social media.
Yeah.
You
It's
have to? No, don't have to. Does it help? If your kid's getting no attention from no college coaches and your kid's going willing to go anywhere in the country, literally, they're willing to go to a junior college in Alaska to play college soccer. And they just need to figure out how to find those coaches. And they don't care if the school's in Maine or Wisconsin or South Dakota or North Dakota or, and I'm not picking on states, but I'm just thinking of states that don't tend to be on players from Florida's list of schools that they want or states they want to move to, Alaska, wherever. Um, and you don't care and you just need to get the attention of any of those coaches, you might you tag them and they'll probably respond. I would have responded to a player that followed me if I was in college at Feather River College still up in the middle of nowhere and a player tagged me or I saw followed me, I would immediately be DMing that player. I would have my staff go, they would be following our accounts and I'd say, hey, reach out to this player, reach out to this player, reach out to this player. And we'd be doing that by the thousands because I had to go through 10,000 girls to get 18.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, but
So
these aren't the
depends what you want,
coaches. These aren't the coaches that girls are tagging. They're
but that's the
yeah,
point.
that's yeah, exactly. And yeah, you talk a lot about the tags, and I just see it as spam at this point. It is really annoying. And look, my gosh, I'm not anywhere near as busy as a Brian Penske from Florida State, but even when I get tagged and stuff by a bunch of
I
players,
see
and
that. I'm not sure
I
why they
don't know
tag me
why,
either.
like, I can't
Yeah.
keep up with it all, and I've had to actually, like a lot of these coaches, I've had to mute a lot of conversations and people because I can't, like, even keep up with my own email inbox.
Right.
So and now, like you said, I put myself in the shoes of a D1 college coach, like, at Brian Penske at Florida State, and it's just or Paul at Stanford, I don't know how they would be able to do it, and I don't think they are because they're too busy going to events, US Youth National Team camps, looking at the top ECNL teams in the upcoming showcase that has national team prospects on there. They don't care about someone in the middle of Missouri tagging them on X who they've never heard of before. They already go into these showcases, like you said, knowing the top players without social media. So I think, like you said, you can use it, but not to chase the top schools, like the top 100 D1, D2, D3 schools.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I think. And it's we talked about that. I mean, even the bottom D1 schools. I mean, people
Are you
people are
talking like
fun.
are you talking like I'm trying to think of some more like bottom like D1 like University of Maryland is like number 100 something like those
Oh no, no, no,
D1s
I'm talking
or
about like there was a like I hate to name schools when it's something negative. There was a
yeah.
D1 school last year that had to cancel their season, women's soccer, because they ran out of players.
Mm.
They don't have enough players to go to that school. I'm not going to name the school. I don't want to embarrass anybody because new coaches come in and they can turn around programs pretty quickly and stuff. And I want parents thinking, but it's not very hard. Just tell you what, moms and dads, Google if you've never done it, NCAA women's soccer RPI. It'll come up as the number one. It's a website. The NCAA posts, and you can do the same thing for men's soccer. And they rank based on strength of schedule and based on win percentage. number one through whatever the men's or women's depends, but through the very last school, the worst in the country. And there are teams that have 0 wins, 14 losses, and 2 ties 5 years in a row. And nobody's begging to go to those schools. And the reason those schools are struggling is because nobody's begging to go to those schools. It's not very hard to know that if you give me the worst player on the roster from the top 20 schools in the country, give me the one player who's at the bottom of those rosters, and then give me those 20 players at the worst school in the country, we'll win 5 games, maybe 6, maybe more. Might be able to win my conference depending on my conference. So the players who are getting 0 minutes and will never get a single minute, by the way, for those schools, give the worst of those for the bottom 20 or 25 or 28 Division I schools in the country, let those players go to the worst school in the country altogether. Heck yeah, we're going to win some games. And give us a year or two, we will win the conference easily. And we'll be in the tournament. We'll be in the NCAA tournament. Now, we'll get beat, 12-0 in the first round because we'll get matched up with Stanford. But, oh well. At least we won our conference and we made it to the tournament. Most, the worst school in the Big Ten may never make the tournament in the history of the school.
Yeah.
Or in the SEC, the worst school in the SEC may never make the tournament, ever. Because it's not Florida State, So, yeah. Look, it all comes down to the same thing we've talked about over and over again. The majority of boys and girls in this country are chasing the wrong schools for their abilities. They're not realistic about how good they are or what they're lacking. And they are chasing the big names for the sake of, I've seen their football team play on TV, and I've seen how full the stadium is, and I've seen their team in March Madness, and I've seen the craziness of how rabid their fans are. And I want that for myself. And I can't blame them. But chasing those schools around on social media is guarantee it doesn't move the needle. Not one, even slight little percentage, not even a fraction of 1%. It doesn't move the needle with those schools. They don't care. They're not. If you're good, they know about you. I mean, it's just the way it is. But the worst Division III in Alaska that can barely field a team, or worst NAIA school in, Alaska that can't fill a team. I keep picking on Alaska because there are no, by the way, there's no, don't look it up, mom and dad. There are no college soccer teams in Alaska, 0, at any level. So that's why I keep picking on Alaska, because I'm not going to offend anybody. Why does he always use Alaska? Because there are no teams. I can't offend anybody. But yeah, that's the way it is, and it doesn't move the needle.
No. And coaches are smart. They know that anyone can look good on social media in a highlight reel or a YouTube video, but at the end of the day, these coaches want you to be able to play the game, leave an impact on their team, win games, and be a great teammate. And they can only see that when you're in front of them at a showcase playing a live game. So coaches aren't stupid. And I think they just find the tags and the, linking the video links in a conversation on X. It's just, you're just another mindless scroll for them. To be completely honest, they're just going to scroll past it and move on with their day because they already have these players in mind and they want to see people live.
Yeah, look, and okay, here's the other thing. I won't say. I was going to say who the coach was, but I had a twinter a coach, a Division One coach at a good school that some players would like to be at. Made a post on social media, and I kind of giggled because I imagined myself in that situation, and I made a comment to this coach, and I said, "Yeah, I disagree, but there are exceptions, and here was a couple of exceptions I could think of." And the coach kind of laughed back and said, "Yeah, if anytime that happens, I'd make an exception." And all of a sudden, here comes players jumping in on this conversation
Can you give
with
the
their video.
context of the conversation? Because the coach was talking about what type of forward they prefer or something.
Oh, it was forwards must defend.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want a forward that doesn't defend. And I said, true in general, absolutely true. I had a forward who was not only a bad defender, but a bad teammate, but scored 39 goals for us in one season. All of us looked at each other and said, yeah, we'll put up with him. Players said, we'll manage him. Don't worry about it. We'll deal with it. As long as he keeps scoring goals, we're good. And he did. I mean, we were playing the number one team in the country, and the guy scored a cracker of a goal against the best team in the country to help us beat the number one team in the country. Uh, uh, 39 goals is a lot of goals. 12 for a striker is not a lot of goals. And doggone it, you better figure out a way to help us score more goals and get more turnovers to get you more chances because you're not a great finisher. So, one player needs 3 chances to score a goal, another striker needs 12 chances to score a goal. I'm going to expect different things from those two different players. So that was the context of the conversation. But players were jumping in with video that was not good and did not put them in a good light. It wasn't good video. It wasn't from a good angle. It wasn't showing exactly what we were talking about. It didn't result in anything spectacular. And players are jumping in and tagging these coaches with these videos that, like, I wouldn't recruit you.
And it also was a link that you had to open and let it load in a separate tab, which that takes a lot of time for a busy
Oh,
D1.
yeah. By the
Like,
way, be careful how you post YouTube links because I'm not an expert. You're the YouTube person. There are ways to post from YouTube to X and have it load immediately. And then there's other ways where you've got to, now it logs you out. Now it puts you into YouTube. Now I got to reload in the YouTube link. And it took me 3 clicks to look at the video where I don't have time for 3 clicks. If I see something post up, if I see something pop up on X, for example, that says now you have to go here, I'm not going, I don't have time for that. I'm on to the next one. So be careful if you're going to do it, at least do it the right way so they can open it up immediately, A, and then be sure it's spectacular, not mundane, not average. And this goes to what we've talked about with video in general. It's like, you know, most players' videos, 90% that I see, and maybe I'm being generous, maybe it's 98% that I see, the first 30 seconds is like, oh, a negative 5 yard pass. Oh, an 8 yard pass. And all I can think to myself is there are 12-year-olds out there making that pass. So
it's
why
so
are you
bad.
opening with it?
It's yeah, most videos, Dawn, I agree. They're just nothing spectacular. It's like, oh, cool, you're doing what everyone else can do.
Right. I always say it's like a basketball player showing the highlight video of a basketball player dribbling a basketball. Like, isn't that what you're supposed to? Really? Oh, I made a chest pass. It's like, oh, that's exciting. It's like, no. They should open up with drain to three, drain to three, drain to three, drain to three, slam dunk, drain to three. If that's the first 10, clips in a basketball player's video, the coach is going to hang around for more. And it should be the same thing in soccer. It's like, oh, ESPN highlight tackle. Holy crud, look at that. That was a crushing tackle. Wow, diving header, bicycle kick, smasher from 30 yards out, upper corner, bent that one. Holy crud. If that's your first 5 clips for a soccer video, I'm hanging around for the next 30 seconds. And if you've made me hang around for 35, 40 seconds, I'm probably just going to watch the whole dang thing because I'm thinking, this player does things that I normally don't see players doing. You need to apply that, parents, kids, you need to apply that to social media when you post a video. It shouldn't be, oh boy, you force play wide. That's exciting. Shouldn't everybody force play wide there? Or look, you force play into pressure. I think everybody should force play into pressure there. That means you understand the basics of the game, the basics, the bare minimums to be able to play at the next level. You can do the basics. Now I need to know what can you do to impact my team? Like impact my team because I've taken college players on a team that's been number 2 in the country who couldn't defend for their life when I got them. And by 4 games in, they're defending like a pro because it's not that hard to teach. It's not that hard to teach where to pressure into. You think you're special because you, as a striker, can pressure a back into making a bad pass. You're not special. That's what you're supposed to do. Like a basketball player that's supposed to be able to dribble a ball or do a crossover dribble. You're supposed to be able to do that as a bare minimum, right? Oh, a lineman that can block. How exciting. Aren't you supposed to block as an offensive lineman? I mean, really? What do we do? What are we talking about here?
I was surprised so many girls jumped in on that post because it seemed like the coach who made the post about the types of forwards they wanted was she was talking to other coaches. It wasn't like she was telling ECNL girls to share their highlights. It was more a question she posed for her coach followers. And then all of a sudden, these girls come in on the post. Look at me. Check out my highlight video being this type of forward. Look at me like defending as a forward. And it's just this me, me, me. Look at me, me, me. But I can guarantee you this D1 coach, because it is a well-known D1 school that a lot of people do want to
And
play
a
at.
very, very, very good coach.
I can
Yeah.
guarantee them going into the showcase this weekend, they already know who they're going to go watch. So your daughter chiming in on that conversation is not really doing much. And also I looked at some of the like descriptions of the video and it was in perfect grammar. It looked like an adult wrote it. It was long. And I'm just thinking, are girls on X this much? There's no way. This is definitely a parent managing this account and constantly tweeting at these coaches. It's just, like we said, it's not going to hurt anyone. But my question is, do you really want to spend that much time doing something that doesn't make that much of an impact, especially for the type of school that you're tagging and responding to?
Yeah, no, and definitely not paying somebody to do that for me.
Oh, the paid accounts are a whole other rabbit hole, Don.
And that's a whole thing. I mean, when you
Yep.
see the, you know, the
The
I don't know how
features,
much
the
you can
players
name
to
them.
watch, the
Yeah, the players to watch, those parents are paying. You do not get named as a player to watch unless you pay them.
100%.
And
I originally thought I didn't know what a lot of these accounts were. I originally thought it was the league picking these players to watch or the coaches. And then I looked into these accounts and their websites and I'm like, oh shoot, people are paying for a membership on how much they're going to feature and post your kid as a player to watch. It was giving college admission scandal. Have you seen the documentary on Netflix?
no, I have not.
Oh man, yeah, it's like parents just paying all this money
Oh,
to have
yeah,
their
no,
kid play
right.
sports, but these kids weren't athletes, so it was a little bit more extreme, but it's similar vibes. It's like I'm going to pay all my money to give my kid this much exposure thinking this is going to help, and these accounts are accepting that. And yeah, I guess like you said, everyone makes a living, but it doesn't seem integrous. And it's not really helping these kids get noticed. And coaches are smart. They know these accounts are, parents are paying for their kids to be featured and
Yeah,
have all
yeah,
these
top 100
articles
in
written up
the
about
country.
them.
Yeah. yeah, I'm ranked number my I am a player and I'm ranked number 25 in the country.
By who?
And that means that I paid. Yeah, it means
Yeah.
that I paid for that privilege of all of yeah, no, that's look, what do you say? I mean, as a parent, you'll get there. You'll see. You love your kids, man, and it's just like no feel as much as you love your dog or whatever, it's not the same. And you want the best for your kids, and you're super proud of your kids. I've got 3 kids, and I like if my kid does something amazing, I've told a lot of people, I've told them on podcasts, my kid was signed to a record label at 15, 16 years old and was traveling Europe. And you could go into Hot Topic and buy his CD, and it was cool. And I told people about it. I was very proud of my son for his accomplishments. And, my daughter was, trying out for San Francisco Ballet and that kind of stuff. And my other son played in Europe and tried out for FC Cologne. Not that many people get invited that are Americans to try out for FC Cologne. He impressed somebody at some point. So look, we all tell people about what our kids do, and we're all proud of our kids. And it's a bragging right. My kids ranked number 27 in the country. Yeah, okay. But what are you trying to accomplish? Parents, back up a little bit and ask yourself, what's the goal here? Is the goal to say, are we in soccer because I need to say my kid is top 100 in the country? Is that why you're playing soccer? And if it's not, know that it's not moving the needle of coaches. So it's only for your bragging rights. And if you want to pay, by the way, because that's why you're doing it, and that's what you want to do with your money and effort and energy and time, and that's why you're doing it, that's fine. You were honest with yourself. You said this is why you were doing it, and that's why you're doing it, is so that you can say your kid's top whatever, and that's why you're paying that company. Great. It's not genuine. It's disingenuous, 100%. Your kid's not
It's
number
not
100 in
earned.
the country.
It's
You're
not earned by their talent. It's just
not
your
really earned. So what
yeah.
message are you sending your kids? So
Mhm.
just thoughts to think about that I think maybe people don't think about. And I'm not saying, look, and if you're still okay with all of that and you still want that, then great. I don't care. Not my
Don,
money.
Don, I have a question about that. Do you think parents are telling their kids they're paying for these features, or they're just telling their
Ooh,
kid, "Oh, you're featured by so and so as a top player to watch," and they don't tell the kid that they're paying for it?
I have no idea. I
I always wonder
don't.
that.
I would
Because
wonder
then the
that
kid
too.
thinks they, like, earned it if they're not being told, and
That's damaging.
that's what's scary to me. Yeah.
I'll say that flat out. If that's going on, that's damaging. You're making your kid think that they should be at UCLA when there's no way on God's green earth your kid's ever going to be at UCLA. Then at some point, I worry about kids. I worry about kids that are told, I'm great, I'm great, I'm great, I'm great, I'm great, you're great. Everybody says you're great and you should be, and coaches don't want to lose. That kid is the best player on my mediocre team, and I don't want to lose that kid. So I tell this kid that you should only accept D1 offers. You're a D1 player. Don't let anybody tell you any different. And then when the kid doesn't get the offers they think they should get, what would go through my mind as a player is, what's wrong with me? What did I do wrong? How did I screw this up? Because clearly everybody around me says I should be there. Clearly, then the problem is me personally. Is it my personality? Do I turn people off? Do I turn coaches away like, what's wrong with me? And the fact is, there's nothing wrong with you. You've been lied to. There's nothing wrong with you. You would be a fantastic 500 Division 3 player in this conference. For when I say 500, a team that's won as many games as they've lost, they're a 500 team. You would be one of the better players on that team in these 3 conferences at the NAIA level, at the Division 3 level. You will have an experience where you are a big fish in a small pond, you know. And I always say, know yourself and know why you're doing something, but know yourself because I met a player who played for Virginia when Bruce Arena was there, and it felt like half the U.S. national team was playing for Virginia, and nobody could beat them. And he never got hardly a minute playing time in 4 years and said, I would do it all over again. That's exactly the experience that I wanted. He was happy with that. And then I know other players, including myself and my son and lots of other players who would be miserable in that situation. I know a player who I work with his dad and the player from Virginia right now who has been in that situation where he was behind the best player, one of the best players in the country, and was never going to get playing time behind that kid who is miserable at this particular moment. Not with Virginia, not with the coaching staff. He loves them. He loves the team. He would, if he was starting, he would never even talk about being unhappy. And the player's not leaving, not transferring, doesn't want to transfer. He's going to stay and fight it out to his credit. So I don't want anybody who's listening to this to think anything different. Insiders might be able to figure out who this kid is. The kid's a fantastic player. And he's going to be a starter there if he just gives himself some time. And he's going to do that. But my point is, there are players willing to stay and fight it out like that. Ryan Saylor at Washington did that. Played 30 minutes in his first 3 years. And I'm going to be talking to Jamie Clark here in the next week or two. And I'm going to ask him about the experience he had with Ryan Saylor. And then Ryan Saylor goes on to be Herman Mack watch list and drafted by Miami. And going to be moving to Seattle now to the Sounders. But how many players are willing to have that experience of sticking things out and fighting through adversity as opposed to ones that just need to be successful now? So know yourself, know what's going to make you happy and not. Know if you need to be a big fish in a small pond or if you're okay being a small fish in a big pond. And then go after the right schools that fit what you need to have happen to you to be happy. And then don't complain about it when it happens. Always drives me crazy, Erica, when players say, if I could get to this school, if I could just make it, and it's always a big name Division I school. If I could make it to that school, I don't care if I ever play. I don't care. I just want to be on the bench at that school. And then year one, they find themselves on the bench at that school, and it's clear that they're never going to play, and they go, I need to transfer. Why? Because I'm not playing. You knew where you weren't going to be playing. I had a girl who was transferred as a freshman starter at a very, very good Division II school. Was a freshman starter, played every minute of every game, decided to try to parlay that into a Power 4 school. And then coach said, you will be number 3 on our depth chart. She says, I'm okay with that until she was number 3 on the depth chart. Mm. And then she's suddenly not okay with that. It's like, if the coach is honest with you and you know what you're getting into and they tell you what's going to happen, don't make up a story in your head where you're going to go change everything by the magic of your personality and become a starter magically overnight. It's like, yeah, wait till they see me in training. Wait till they see what I can do. The coach has already seen what you can do. And the coach already knows their team. The coach already knows where you sit. It's like if players could figure out a way around that, they wouldn't be tagging these coaches on social media. If they could just be honest with, oh no, those girls on that starting 11 are 10 times faster than me. They would smoke me. I will never be that player. I've worked with Erica for 3 years, and I'm nowhere close to the top girls she has that aren't even playing at those schools. What are the chances I have of beating those girls out that are on the national team? Yet they go to the camps and they tag them on social media and they won't take no for an answer. By the way, no answer is an answer, especially from the top schools. If they're ghosting you, that's an answer. You think they ghost the girl on the U.S. national team who scored the most goals in the under 20 World Cup last year? Do you think they ghost that girl? Ghost her? If they're ghosting you, that's an answer. Take it. The coaches are busy. Maybe I just need to tag them more.
Please don't.
And they're told coaches are busy. Keep tagging. I mean, there are
There are
accounts.
people who say that. Yeah, it's crazy. No, please, we're good. Don't tag us.
Keep tagging, keep tagging, keep tagging, keep posting, keep tagging, keep posting. Don't stop, don't stop, don't stop. You'll
No.
find a home. You probably will. If you post 6 times a day on all social media platforms, you will get probably 20
Alaska.
offers
Alaska offers.
you don't want to go to.
Yeah.
So it's probably true.
Mhm.
Yeah, make enough noise, somebody will pay attention. And there's 1,600 and something women's teams in the country
Yeah, but
at
it's the
all
unknown
levels.
schools you have no interest in.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
you've never
yeah,
heard of.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
And that's probably, and here's the sad part that breaks my heart. So you've got those schools. You've got those schools we just talked about, the ones that nobody wants to go to. There is a middle ground. I would say the majority of our clients end up at schools they've never heard of. So it's not the big name dream schools, but it's also not the schools that nobody wants to go to. There is a middle ground of schools that kids end up at that they go, holy crap, that was a good, fun experience. I got a degree from a good school. I felt like I learned something. I felt like the school challenged me academically. I made friends that I'll have for the rest of my life. And I feel like I was challenged athletically. It was a good fit for me. And yeah, it was a Division II school or a division. My son ended up at a Division I school that we had never heard of. The town has 750 people in it. There are Amish buggies going down the streets. It's like, holy smokes, never heard, never knew it existed, never had any idea. And, to, to 3 of his 4 years there, they were competing for a conference championship. They were winning games. They were playing Notre Dame. They were playing Penn State, you know, spring and preseason. They played Virginia, you know, 0-0 till the dying minutes of the game, and Virginia ended up pulling it out. Good experiences that I remember as a parent, he remembers as a player, but we never would have picked out of a list of schools in the country. It never would have been on the list ever. Had a coach not said, not introduced him to that school, which is what happened. And so there is a middle ground, is what I'm saying. It doesn't have to be the worst schools in the country, and it doesn't have to be the best schools of the country. It could be somewhere in the middle, and players are ignoring those schools, and the schools can't find those players. And I don't think social media is the answer.
Mhm.
It's too big. There's too many players.
And there's so many other things players could and parents could be doing and not spending so much time and money on, or just spending more time and money on things that actually matter, like their player development, speed, strength, and conditioning, because it does get harder at the college level. I've had a lot of college strength coaches on this podcast. You got to be ready for that. Getting your nutrition down. I mean, gosh, like don't spend a Sunday tweeting at D1 college coaches. Spend a Sunday prepping meals for the week and
Right.
getting your nutrition in order. I mean, you're way better off doing that for muscle building, performance, recovery, injury reduction. And it's just, there's so many other things you could be doing. Or go to Tovo, Spain with Todd Bean and actually develop your soccer IQ. I mean, gosh, take a great trip to Spain and become a better player when you get home with like the best coaching in the world. I'd rather spend my money on that, Dawn, than, oh, well, we'll pay you, or you pay us to feature your kid and they're a supposed top 10 player in the country without really earning it, but you earn it through paying us our membership. It's like, why would you spend money on that? Spend money on the stuff that actually matters, or time on the stuff that actually matters for you to get seen. Stay healthy, because college coaches don't recruit injured players. That's a whole other podcast, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just, you really want to think long term with this, and it's, are you doing things where you're becoming a better player, a better human, to impact a college program one day? And social media just, it doesn't do it for me for college recruiting. Doesn't harm anyone, but I don't think it's as impactful as a lot of people are telling parents and kids it is.
No, and I really like that point of spending time doing it. I'm thinking through my head, it's like, all right, if I really want to be on social media and I really want to look at things and I love my sport, I used to do, as a kid, I did this with magazines, right? Because there was no social media. I'm that old. Um, but I would, there would be breakdowns of how to save a penalty kick, in a magazine. And I would look and I would read it. I would study it because I was interested in that thing. I make this argument quite a bit. And parents, if your kid's not juggling on their own, if they're not going out and working on their own, if they're not on the wall on their own without you asking, if they're not asking, hey, can we get Paramount Plus so that I can watch the Champions League? If they're not paying attention to watching pro games, if what they're looking at on their phone is, stupid dances on TikTok as opposed to studying soccer games. There are so many amazing coaching breakdowns now on all platforms, on Insta, on TikTok, on Twitter, and good coaching accounts. Like you said, Todd Bean posting stuff a lot about how to become a better player. He's got, he's got a program, and it's not super cheap, parents, but it's the best, one of the best in the world, in Sitges in Spain, up near Barcelona. But he posts free stuff all the time, every single day, 3, 4 times a day, about how to become a better player. Get your player, introduce your players to that. And then if they're not taking off with that stuff on their own, they don't really love the sport that much, and they're going to struggle in college. Because college coaches are some of the most passionate soccer enthusiasts that I know. I mean, it's easy to say that, Jurgen Klopp is a soccer enthusiast, and then say, well, yes, and he also gets paid whatever millions of dollars that he gets paid to do that. College coaches don't get paid diddly squat, believe me. The average college coach is probably on 45, 50,000 a year. They can barely pay their bills. And they definitely got to have a good spouse that's making, many college coaches I know have spouses that make more money than they make. Okay, which is what helps pay the bills. They aren't paying the bills through soccer. That means they really love what they do. They're really passionate about it. And so if you're a player going into a program playing for somebody who's really passionate about soccer, and you're not that passionate about soccer, you're going to have a hard time getting that coach to trust you with the thing that they love other than their families more than anything in the world. Other than maybe God and their family, for me it was like God, family, soccer. That was that, and sometimes it was God, soccer, family. Unfortunately, I'm going to be honest. There were many moments where I missed things of my kids growing up where it was, no, I got to go coach. That's what I do. And so, yeah, as a parent, I know what you want for your kid. I get it. And it's natural and it's okay to want greatness for your kid and to want your kid to go on to play this thing that you, as a parent, have invested countless of thousands of hours in and countless of thousands of dollars in. But you really got to know if your kid really wants this or not, or it's not going to work. And they're just going to end up being more heartbroken at the end of the day because they're going to end up thinking, and maybe mentally broken. I give a pause there. I think back to Katie Meyer, still haunts me. How somebody who it feels like has everything together is clearly bothered by something. And we will never know, but was it the stress of being expected to compete at such a high level, academically and athletically? Was that part of it? I don't know. Pure speculation. But it certainly should give every parent pause to make sure that their kids are doing this for the right reasons. I hope I said that tactfully enough, because I don't want anybody to make assumptions based on what I said when I clearly don't know Katie's situation. But the stress can't help. Let me just put it that way. The stress of having to compete at such a high level academically and athletically can't help if you're already under stress in your life, if you're not prepared for it. Not everybody is emotionally and mentally prepared to be a college athlete, let alone be a college athlete at a program that competes for a national championship. And then add to that the players in your the people in your academic classes that are competitive about their grades at a school that is world renowned for cranking out really smart people. It's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure.
Add
And to
social
ask,
media on top of that too.
it bothers me. Yeah, and that's the other piece of it we haven't even touched on. What have you noticed? What about the pressures of social media? You
I
did
think
an episode on this, right?
Yeah, I think there's a lot to it. I mean, there's so much when you're an athlete at the high school and college level now. I mean, there's the FOMO, like we talked about today. And if you're not posting 6 times a day, you're behind. And like just the stress of posting that much, it's a lot. And then if you post like twice, you feel, oh my gosh, I'm not keeping up with things. And then another part of it is the comment section. I mean, just getting hated on in the comments. I know a lot of like college and pro athletes now who have turned their comments off or have completely disabled their profiles just to help with their mental health. And I've turned my comments off too, because it's not so much the hate, it's my comments have been pretty good, but it's just I don't have time to respond to all of it, and it was a distraction from like my in-person work here in Tampa, and I don't want to distract for
Wow.
my athletes. So I know people who have turned their comments off, but if they're still on, that's an added stress. And then there's just also the comparison, seeing your friends commit to these top schools and feeling like you're not the best or not good enough, even though you've been told your whole life you're good enough or you're a feature player to watch, even though your parents have been paying for that. And then it's shocking when you're not the one who's making the D1 commit post. So there's a lot that goes into it, Don. I mean, there's so many layers to social media for our young athletes, but I don't think more of it is better. And I don't think putting pressure on kids, oh, well, you absolutely need it for recruiting or you're falling behind. I think that's such a lie. And I think that kind of summarizes what we talked about today, that you don't need it. You just need your kid to become a better player and show well live. So I'll end with that.
Wow. One of the thoughts that just went through my head when you were saying that was that I didn't think about this. So these kids, it's easy to become friends on social media with other players. And I've had a couple of players. I got one of our players that we helped, um, who he was very active on social media. I know, because I would talk to him and I know he was posting. It wasn't his dad. And I also know his dad very well. And his dad is very proud of his son, but couldn't give two rats, whatever. It's like, I'll support my kid, but it's his life, and really felt that way. So it wasn't a dad. I thought, yeah, okay. So players see players like that on social media, and then that player commits, and this is my friend, and I feel like I'm as good of a player as my friend is. And by the way, my friends, this was the thought that went through my head. My friends are telling me how amazing I am. Oh, you're amazing. That was a great play. You're phenomenal. You're great. You're great. You're great. And I've seen these posts, one of my teammates or this other player, coaches, you'd be lucky to pick up this player. This is a great player. They're trying to help by promoting other players. Now, when that player doesn't get picked up, what does that do to that player? Did that real? I know you're trying to be nice. I know you're trying to be kind. I know you're trying to help. And I appreciate it. And there are accounts. One of them is gone. It was an account. I guess I can say it because it's gone. It's called Soccer Mom International.
Oh, wow.
Clearly wasn't a soccer mom.
I didn't realize they were gone.
Gone, disappeared out of nowhere because it clearly wasn't a soccer mom. And there's no way somebody knew that much about the American system. It was somebody that was trying to figure out how to monetize promoting players. But it was always, check out this player, check out that player, check out this player. And it's, yeah, when everybody tells you how amazing you are and then you don't get picked, it's not working. What does that do to your psyche? Be careful. You know, the self-esteem movement of the 1970s that is carried through to today, I don't know that it was great. I don't know that it really helped. Everybody's great. Everybody can be this and everybody can be that. You know, you can be anything you want to be. Don't let anybody tell you different. It's like, yeah, you still have to know yourself and you have to know what you're capable of and how hard you want to be pushed and stop comparing yourself to everybody else. Know who you are and what makes you happy and then pursue those things without that outside influence telling you that you should be this or you should be that or you could be this or you could be that. Those are added pressures that I, as a player, definitely would not have helped me at all. Thank goodness I was not an emotionally strong player. I struggled if I wasn't the best. I struggled. I had to be the best or I struggled. And if I was a goalkeeper, and if we were winning 3-0, and the last 15 minutes of the game, the coach pulled me out to let the backup get playing time, I would throw a temper tantrum. That was my shutout. I earned that. So I'd fill myself with all of these thoughts, and social media would not have helped me. I don't think social media, when viewed in the wrong way by the wrong players, is healthy at all. I think it's damaging, severely damaging. There's certain people that can handle it. And there's certain people that truly don't care what others think of them. Truly don't care. Which is in and of itself its own narcissism. There has to be a healthy balance to all of it. Yeah. Right? Right? The ones that truly don't care what anybody thinks of them aren't very coachable. They have to respect what people in authority think to some extent. People with experience, those aren't very coachable people. So it's I know we're mostly talking to the parents on this podcast, and I'm mostly thinking as a parent in this podcast. You know, some as a coach, some as a parent. I don't know how many players will listen to this. I think it's probably mostly parents. Maybe I'm wrong. Parents listening to it with their kids, you have to listen to this episode with me in the car. I know people have done that because people have told me. We listened to you as we were going to training. We love you on Erica's podcast. And it's like, yeah, it's an amazing forum for discussion.
I love it.
So parents, please consider who your child is and why they want to do what they want to do. And certainly, if your kid is not motivated enough to run their own social media accounts, they're not very motivated to play in college.
Mm.
But pros have, but Don, pros have agents. My kid is so busy with school, with after school activities, trying to complete all of the things that colleges need to have done for admissions, and then playing soccer. They don't have time to promote themselves. I need to promote them. Well, then they're going to struggle in college greatly because it is a full time plus job. In season, call it 60 hours a week between school and soccer. And there are soccer coaches out there that will go, don't care that you have a final in 20 minutes. Training ends and you'll have 5 minutes to get there. But I need to study before. Can I not come to training today because I have a final tomorrow and I need to study? My answer as a coach, then you're terrible at time management and you should not be an athlete. That's your fault, not my problem. You are here and I am paying you to be an athlete. I am not paying you to be a student. That is your responsibility to balance both. So, parents, if your 16, 17-year-old, 18-year-old is struggling getting themselves recruited, not that you can't monitor their social media accounts. Parents, my Lord, please monitor your social media accounts. And by the way, players, stop posting your phone number on social media. What is wrong with you? Parents, stop letting your kids post their phone numbers on social media. What is wrong with you? What kind of a psycho do you have to be? I'm sorry. I get pissed off at this
I
one.
agree.
It's like I'm protective of kids. I really am. But you understand that anybody can text your kid saying that they're from whatever, and that coach isn't in their phone. They could get all kinds of information from your child when you post. Not like you're posting their landline, you're posting their cell phone. What is wrong with you? Are you that desperate that you're going to allow your kid to be possibly exploited by all kinds of crazy lunatics online? And you're posting your kid's cell phone number? That's crazy. But yet, go online and you see kids posting their cell phone numbers. It's like, oh my Lord, what are we doing?
Yeah, it's like right in the bio.
Right in the bio,
Right
their
in the
their
bio.
personal cell phone number.
Yeah.
Like, well, I guess theoretically, a parent that had a ton of money could buy their kid a cell phone with just a recruiting cell phone number.
Still,
I
you're gonna
guess.
get lunatics hitting that number up.
Yeah, that the parent runs. I mean, that the
Yeah.
parent has that cell phone and said, "This is my kid's cell phone for recruiting only." So maybe that's what's happening.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm being naive. Maybe that's what's going on. I don't know. I think it's crazy.
It is crazy, but yeah, I think this was a really important discussion to have, and it's going to give the listeners a lot to think about because I know a lot of you guys have been asking about getting your child a social media and branding them, and yeah, as young as age 8, I've heard. So please, if
Hmm.
you have a young one, absolutely not. If you have a high school girl who is of recruiting age, not the biggest impact in her getting recruited unless it's for those like low level schools that are desperate to fill roster spots. But, I really think it comes down to if you're good, you'll get found. And if you're chasing the right schools and it's the right fit, you'll find a home. And social media is just like a sliver of the recruiting pie. So yeah, that's our thoughts on it. So Don, thank you again. This was a lot
Thanks.
of fun, and I'll see everyone on the next episode. We started off with a bang, but we got a lot coming in 2026. So I'll see you guys soon.